Hello, and welcome to gusmcdollgames, and thank you to our subscribers. I'm Nick McDowell, and today we're continuing the Allied Grand Campaign in Close Combat: A Bridge Too Far, a game based on the Battle of Arnhem, Operation Marketgarden. In this series we use the missions in the Allied Grand Campaign to illustrate one or more aspects of World War II infantry minor tactics at the company level and below. Each episode we conduct basic mission analysis, develop and analyse possible courses of action, then decide and execute the plan in real time, followed by lessons learned. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And, if you want to buy me a coffee, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. In this episode, we're in the Nijmegen sector, the Nijmegen Bridge Tactical Area of Responsibility. Our objective is Nijmegen City. It is Day 2 of Operation Marketgarden, 0600 hours on 18 September 1944. Nijmegen City. This will be difficult combat, but you should be able to secure the southern end of the Nijmegen Bridge so that 30 Corps can advance on Arnhem. Expect heavy resistance on your drive to the bridge. 30 Corps is scheduled to arrive around Day 3, and you want to have the bridge secured by the time they get there. Let's examine our forces. Airborne BAR teams are the core of the American Airborne Divisions. They use an automatic rifle, semi-automatic rifles, and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front line, but they should run or hide from tanks. Airborne rifle teams use semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a carbine. Use them on the front lines and to hold victory locations. They are useless against tanks. Airborne 60mm light mortar teams also contain semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. Because mortars can shoot over obstacles, position these teams behind buildings or trees. Use them to lay smoke screens. Airborne 30 caliber light machine gun teams include semi-automatic rifles and hand grenades. Position these teams in multi-story buildings or locations with long lines of sight so they can suppress enemy infantry. The American Airborne Sniper is a specialist trained in marksmanship. He is armed with a scoped M1903 Springfield rifle. Put him in an out-of-the-way place with good fields of fire so that he can eliminate enemy leaders. Next, let's look at the map and do some mission analysis. I will develop a plan and then execute it in the game. Our mission is to clear the southern approach to Nijmegen City in order to secure the southern end of the Nijmegen Bridge, the Walbrug. We have an understrength company from the US 82nd Airborne Division consisting of 3 BAR squads, 2 rifle squads and a sniper, with a 60mm mortar detachment and 30 caliber machine gun in support. I suspect this is Company G for George of the 3rd Battalion of the 508th Parachute Infantry Regiment. North is the top of the map. I have marked 6 areas of interest. Number 1, a cluster of buildings in the northeast, under my control. Number 2, the T-junction, and a row of 3-story buildings also under my control. I think this is now known as Jan van Goyenstraat in real life. Number 3, to my west, the Hod Factory Complex. Number 4, to the south side of the park, a street with 3-story buildings on either side. Number 5, a park bisected by a road and row of single-story buildings. Open ground, overlooked by every building on the perimeter. And number 6, north of the park, the Terwindstraat, a street leading to the bridge and bounded by 3-story buildings and warehouses. First impressions? Welcome to Stalingrad on the Waal. There are a lot of buildings and no shortage of tactical complexity for the attacker. Each house could be a strong point, each road a fire lane. Historically, the Germans had light infantry guard forces in Nijmegen, but on 18 September reinforced Nijmegen with Kampfgruppen from the 9th and 10th Panzer Divisions. In this scenario, I have absolutely no idea what enemy forces I am facing, in what strength, or what dispositions. Will it be infantry or tanks? Do they have a defensive line in the factory complex east of the park? Or will they lure me into a succession of ambushes in the approach roads and 3-story buildings? I just don't know, and this uncertainty will influence my planning. My first course of action could be an advance up the southern route. First platoon would take the left-hand side of the street, and second platoon would take the right-hand side. Each platoon would provide overwatch to the other as they leapfrog up the street. This approach could get me to the bridge, but could leave significant German forces in the city, and these could cut me off from resupply and reinforcement. Also, I would need to clear the southern part of the Hod factory position first, before launching my main assault. My second course of action is similar to the first, an advance along the Terwindstraat to the north. First platoon would take the right-hand side of the street, and second platoon would take the left-hand side. This approach could also get me to the bridge, but again it could leave significant German forces in the city to cut me off. Also, I would need to clear the 3-storey buildings north of the Hod factory before launching my main assault up the road. My third course of action is informed by my lack of information about the enemy, by the reality that urban terrain is easily defended and presents an obstacle to offensive action, and by the requirement to clear some of the buildings to my west before assaulting along the northern or southern streets. Also, my mission is to clear Nijmegen City for follow-on forces, and not just bypass the Germans and accept encirclement at the bridge. So, I will start with the defensive perimeter and main line of resistance at the top of the T-junction, with a platoon boundary on the northern side of Jan van Goenstraat. I will fight for information on the German positions and strength, control the buildings opposite me, then make a decision whether 1st Platoon will move on the left, 2nd Platoon will move on the right, or both go together. Then, I will systematically clear every German position between me and the Kaiser Ludwig plain at the southern end of the bridge. Historically, this was the approach taken by the 3rd Battalion of the 508th on the evening of the first day. More solidly built villages, particularly those in which houses are not widely spaced, have many of the military features of woods. They are easily defended and present a considerable obstacle to offensive action. I will now move my troops into position and execute the plan in real time. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the various courses of action and if you have identified a viable alternative. If you want to speed things up, just skip ahead every few seconds and see the battle unfold. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And so we begin. Grenades are thrown, and it seems the Germans have taken position around the Hod factory. I locate a reserve squad and return fire. An MG42 opens up from my left flank. I bring rifle and machine gun fire to bear, as well as a mortar fire mission. First Platoon is in a tough fight against determined opponents. Second Platoon locates another reserve squad across from it in a single-storey building. Another MG42 opens up on my left flank, and I adjust mortar fire onto it. I locate a third reserve squad. I also locate a Granatwerfer in between buildings on the Terwindstraat. Then a Schützen squad. and a glimpse of a Panzerschreck squad to the north. No sign of armour. I am probably facing an infantry company, 8 squads in total, similar in strength to my own. I will need to win the firefight before advancing. I take my first serious casualty of the battle, as the unfortunately named Private Deadman is killed. But I have eliminated an enemy reserve squad. Then I eliminate an MG42 squad. A reserve squad moves into the open, an opportunity target. Then, a lull in the battle, punctuated by the occasional shot and mortar round. The Panzerschreck squad rushes across the street and enters one of the 3-storey buildings. They find it occupied by a rifle squad from 2nd Platoon and are cut down. 2nd Platoon takes on a reserve squad moving against it. Then I focus their fire on the Schutzen squad, the largest manoeuvre element I've spotted so far, 7 soldiers defending the Hod factory. First platoon's sector is quiet, so I decide to advance on the left and outflank the Hod factory. Shouting the regimental battle cry, "Diablo!" the left-hand squad advances. They encounter the 2nd MG42 squad moving forward, and I target it with all available forces from 1st platoon, as well as the 30 caliber machine gun. I put out smoke to obscure the MG42, then advance another squad across the street into the 1st machine gun nest. I take my 2nd casualty of the battle.
We're under heavy fire.
The rifle squad from 2nd platoon begins a right flanking assault north of the Hod factory.
mich hier raus!
The mortar drops smoke around the hod factory to blind the enemy and screen this movement.
Team redeployed.
The squad enters the low building to find a number of German casualties and takes a prisoner. Meanwhile, 1st Platoon suffers another casualty as Sergeant Clements from the BAR squad is killed. Then more casualties.
Area secured.
My assault on the hod factory develops and I take the objective.
Auf die Beine!
Team redeployed. Heavy fire.
The Germans are withdrawing to the southwest.
Serve ammunition. Team redeployed.
I'm starting to run low on ammunition and start to receive enemy mortar fire.
Nicht schießen!
One of the MG42 squad surrenders.
Serve ammunition. Serve ammunition.
1st Platoon continues to move forward.
Team redeployed. We're under heavy fire.
The final member of the MG42 squad surrenders.
Team redeployed. Team redeployed.
While I've taken casualties, I have the Germans on the ropes now, with only a couple of squads remaining. But their Schützen squad is tough to beat, encircled, but still fighting on.
position.
Lieutenant Benham is killed by a mortar round at the hour of his triumph.
Team redeployed.
Das Blut!
Team redeployed.
I continue my encirclement and the Schützen withdraw. The battle ended because the Germans were routed from the map. The Allies gained control of the area and will advance. The German forces took excessive losses. I have made Allied progress of 30 against expected progress of 34 by the end of the day. I suffered 12 casualties and inflicted 24 casualties on the enemy, including 4 captured. I select a 1-hour ceasefire period as I want to keep up the pressure on the retreating Germans and take the Nijmegen bridge objective, the Walbrug. Let's examine casualties on both sides. First, the Americans. I have taken casualties across all BAR and rifle squads and have lost most of my squad leaders. The sniper, mortar and machine gun are okay. The machine gun accounted for the most enemy. Then the Germans. They are from the 10th Panzer Division, so I was lucky not to face armour. They lost 2 MG42 squads, most of the Schützen squad, 3 reserve squads and a Panzerschreck, but the Granatwerfer is okay. Despite being on the defensive in urban terrain, their casualties are double mine. So, what did we learn? The key lesson from this engagement is that a lack of information about the enemy, combined with the inherent complexity of urban terrain, would have easily derailed any offensive plan. Instead, when buildings outnumber enemy squads, focus on finding and defeating each squad rather than occupying streets, buildings or other terrain features for their own sake. Fight the enemy, not the map. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.